The saying opposites attract is a myth.
But if it's not true, why do we see it everywhere?
Well, to answer that question, we first need to understand the phrase opposites attract and where it came from. The idea that opposites attract was proposed by psychologist Robert Winch in the 1950s. After studying couples, he concluded that we tend to search for what we lack in relationships. But social psychology shows us that this common phrase isn't actually so true. In fact, people tend to prefer people with similar characteristics. Evidence shows us that similarities are actually a sign of long-term success in a relationship. One example of this is the matching hypothesis. The matching hypothesis argues that people are more likely to form and succeed in a relationship with someone who is equally socially desirable. It was proposed by American social psychologist Elaine Walster and her colleagues in 1966. Right. So, how did she even figure that out? They conducted a field experiment called the computer dance. During this experiment, students were advertised to attend a school dance at $1 per person for admission. The first 376 males and 376 females were admitted. This made a total of 752 participants. When students arrived to sign up, 4 judges secretly rated them based on physical attractiveness. I don't know, man. It was the 60s. Participants filled out a questionnaire which they were told was being used to match them with the perfect partner for the evening. In reality, these pairings were completely randomly generated, which makes them the independent or manipulated variable in this experiment. The dependent variable in this experiment would be how much the participants actually liked their dates, because it's directly affected by the random pairing. The dance was held 2 days later, and there was a questionnaire following that evaluated how much the participants actually liked their dates. Researchers initially found that physical attractiveness was the most important factor in being liked by a partner. 6 months later, it was found that partners were more likely to have dated if they were similar in physical attractiveness than if they were dissimilar. The researchers also found that participants with higher ratings tended to be more judgmental and less satisfied with pairings, even if they were equally rated. Other studies have found that people prefer partners with similar political views, social backgrounds, interests, diets, lifestyles, and even the amount of water they drink. So, if all of this is true, and opposites don't attract, why is it everywhere in pop culture? I mean, some of the most iconic couples in TV are opposites. I don't know, like Danny and Sandy, Wally and Eva, Rory and Jess. Well, the truth is, it's exciting, which is why it can occasionally happen in real life too. Some people do prefer partners with complementary traits. This is known as the complementary hypothesis. However, research shows that long-term, healthy relationships usually stem from couples with more similarities. So basically, partners with a lot of complementary traits usually tend to end up more like Ross and Rachel. So, opposites attract is just some theory popularized by some dude in the 50s? Well, I think it was popularized by the media after he brought it up because it was a new and exciting concept and it gained a lot of traction. But there are a few important things to note when considering both of these claims. One is that research has proven to have very different outcomes in homosexual couples, which is still being studied. Another is that we all have different preferences and we're all changing really quickly. It's hard to say exactly what everyone prefers because we're all different. And you should stay away from making generalized claims, especially those based on race, gender, sexuality, and ethnicity. Okay, so just to recap. Opposites attract is commonly found in pop culture because it's an exciting concept that gains a lot of traction. The complementary theory shows us that this can happen in some relationships, but preferences vary based on lots of different things. However, long-term successful relationships usually stem from couples with more similarities, especially in levels of physical attractiveness, which is called the matching hypothesis. Right. But everyone's different. So what do you guys think?